my name is Brandon from Gearist.com and welcome to this episode of Ask Gearist. Today we're going to tackle one of the most often asked questions about bicycle maintenance, and that is how to change a flat tire. I don't think I'm really going too far in suggesting that before you even dream about going out on a mountain bike trail or on a road with your bicycle, you should definitely know how to do this. It's very simple, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. So today, we're going to take you through Bicycle Tire Changing 101. Now, the first thing you want to notice is that on typical road bike brakes, you've got a release right here to expand the brake calipers a little bit to allow for clearance for the tire. All you do is flip that guy up, the brake calipers separate a little bit to allow that to drop down. Next up is your quick release skewer. Right here on the far side, on the non-drive side, you're going to flip this open. Then you're going to hold onto this side and wind it back until it becomes loose enough for the tire to come out. Now at this point, we've got our wheel separated from the bicycle and all ready to go. The first thing that we're going to do is get the tire off the wheel itself. The simplest way to do this is to take two tire levers. This is what a tire lever looks like. The first one, you're going to fit right in under the loop there, under the bead, if you will, of the tire, and you're going to lock this hooking end around whatever spoke is right there. With the next tire lever, you're going to work your way just a little bit down from that first one, and you're going to work it back under there again. And then you're just going to take this guy and slide it around all the way around the tire, and you'll notice that it's coming off, and there goes the other one, and now your tire can easily come off. Now once you get to this point, you've got two choices. You can either leave the tire on, pull the tube out independent of the tire, or if it's easier for you, you can just take the whole thing off. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to take the entire tire off of the wheel because I feel like it's easier to get a grasp on what we're doing with that. Then you just want to work your way all the way around until the thing comes out. Now there is an important tip to remember. If when you get a flat tire, you're in the process of moving and you can pinpoint where that flat tire came from, you really want to make sure that you can pinpoint that on the tire wall. Now the reason for this is because if there's a piece of debris like glass or some other metal or any kind of junk that's come through, you want to make sure that you can get in there and make sure that it's not still poking through the tire. Otherwise, you're just going to wind up with another flat. In this case, we wound up with a pinch flat because, quite frankly, I had my daughter on my handlebars. So I'm not exactly concerned about where the flat was because it was kind of an anomaly. There's nothing poking through that happened. So now we're just going to remove the old tube from the tire, and there you go. You can toss it. Make sure you don't leave these laying on the side of the road. It's very irresponsible and it is littering. Please don't do that. Actually, a lot of people will use these as rubber bands. You cut them into strips and you've got a lot of great handy rubber bands there. Something that I always like to carry in my bag, my saddle bag, this guy right here, is a $1 bill. The reason for that is if you do find something that's protruding into your tire, you can pull that thing out, but sometimes the steel belting on the inside of the tire will have poked through and it's going to keep giving you flats. In the case of using a single dollar bill in there, you could fold it up, put it inside the channel of the tire there, and it's going to act kind of like a barrier between that and your tire until you can purchase a new tire, not to be confused with a new tube. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting the tire back on the rim. Here's a little tip that I find very, very handy. If you've got a logo on your bike, in this case we've got the Michelin logo right here, I'm going to make sure that one part of that is right over the valve stem. This way you've got a great point of reference for finding where that flat happened in the first place. So I'm just going to line that up right over top of that. You can do whichever end you want. It's a completely arbitrary thing. I'm just kind of going to walk it around and make sure that the one side of the bead is all the way on the rim and the other one is kind of hanging off like that. Then we're going to come back around to where the valve stem hole is, right there in this case. We're going to slide that valve stem right in there. And then we're going to gently go along. We're going to work the tube back up into the tire. Now as you're working that tube back around, what you want to try to do is instead of getting the tube just up inside the tire, you want to get it up and sitting in the channel of the rim as much as you can. This is going to, later on, prevent pinch flats. Now that we've got our tube mounted inside the tire and all ready to go, this is the biggest pain in the ass of changing a bike tire that there is, and that's getting the other bead back on the other side of the rim. Now, part of the time this isn't going to be that bad. It really is going to depend on the depth of your rims. It's also going to depend on the rigidity of the bead of the tire. So what I'm going to do is find that valve stem, and we're going to put the tire in, the bead in on the far side, and we're going to just start really gently kind of working our way around. We're going to make sure that that tube, again, isn't getting pinched up in between the tube and the tire and the rim. And we're just kind of going to work it around like that. Every time you see the rim trying to sneak through, kind of tuck it back up in. Not a big deal. Just kind of work with it gently. Kind of go around like this, and you can see that I'm kind of working to the pinnacle of this, to the apex, from opposite directions. This is going to be a lot easier and a nice kind of solid way to get it in there without cheating using tire levers, and I'll touch on why that's important in a second. Another good tip is to go ahead and brace it against your stomach like this, or your pelvis or whatever. It just makes a good pushing point to really be able to brace it against something, so you're not just sitting there trying to work it in to death, because believe me, these can be a pain, much like this one is being right now. Now I've gotten around to the end here. You can see a little bit of the tube still sticking out. Now the last thing you want to do is go around and make sure you don't have any of the tube sticking out in between the tire itself and the rim. The reason for this is because once you pump 120 pounds, which is what this tire is meant to be inflated to, once you put 120 pounds of pressure in there, there's a very good chance that it could pinch between the tire and the tube, the tire and the rim, and you're going to wind up with a pinch flat. The best way to do that is to just start at your tire valve here, using that as a point of reference, and just kind of go around looking in the sides just like that. Make sure you don't see the tube sticking out anywhere. This might seem like an unnecessary step, but you've just put effectively a $5 tube in there. You don't want to blow the thing out as soon as you put it in. After all is said and done, we're going to go ahead and put that wheel back into its place. Right there. Should be pretty easy. Just go ahead and wind down your quick release. And there you go. While you're inflating it, you may hear a couple of pops as the bead falls into the channel of the rim. That's no big deal, nothing to be afraid of. Just make sure that you don't have any pinch flats going on. And that's your basic how to change a bike tire. Now, if you've got any questions that you'd like us to answer on Ask Gearist, please don't hesitate to reach out by emailing info@gearist.com or finding us on any of our social media networks, which you can see right here. That's my personal Strava at the top, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And as always, don't forget to visit Gearist.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.